All right, everyone. So we're reading an older article. This was from 3 months ago about Paul Heyman's thoughts on WWE Unreal. He said this during a while he was on the Pat McAfee show, and I figured this is like perfect timing now because we just had the release of WWE Unreal to kind of stack up with it. So I want to read one paragraph at a time and kind of dissect what's being said. I don't have to love it. It's not for me to love. I'm a very old school guy. I go back to the theory of heels settle in the heat, babyface blows the comeback. It's that simple of an equation. The good guy is a good guy because heroism will prevail. The bad guy is the bad guy because on any given day, he is unable to beat the good guy and therefore must cheat to do so. These are the fundamental and rudimentary thoughts on my mindset towards the industry, but I'm also very accepting of where the industry has gone and will go and the culture and society that push it forward. Do I like walking through the curtain and there's a camera right in my face documenting how I come out of the character that you see on TV? No, I don't like that. Am I going to fight against it? No, I'm not going to fight against it because those cameras are going to be there whether I like it or not. I'm accepting of the fact that this is a change in the industry and I better figure out how to capitalize on that, expand from it, and be part of it, or it's going to leave me behind. That's about being relevant. So this is, like this kind of shows you a little bit of what Paul Heyman and how he views things, right? He understands because he was a big part of the the expansion, right, with this at one point, right? ECW was exactly what he's talking about here, right? It was kind of the complete changing of wrestling, right? It was the complete movement from one style of wrestling to the other. It was an extreme version. So he's been on the cutting edge of wrestling, and now he's kind of in this spot of now I'm kind of the old guy on this, right? I'm the one that is not really willing to be expanding in this other direction. But I don't want to have that come off as I'm saying something negative about him when I mean that, right? I don't think it's a negative. I think there's a lot of really good in the kind of old timer view of wrestling of like, look, we don't give away everything, right? We're going to keep part of the mystique here. And I do think, and we're going to get into a little more, but what Paul Heyman is saying is like, I'm putting on this character on the ring. I'm telling a story to the audience. And then when I get back behind the curtain, now there's a camera talking to me. And now I'm myself again, right? I'm out of the character in there. I'm not telling that story still. I don't really like that, right? It's about getting into that character, and I don't want the audience to see the other part of it because I'm trying to tell a story. If they do WWE in real, which obviously we know they did now, and every time they say we're going to mic you up for this meeting, no, 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 you're not going to put a microphone on me. You're not going to put a camera on me when I'm talking creative behind the scenes. Then I won't be on WWE Unreal, and it's going to move on without me. So this is interesting. Okay, this is to me one part I didn't think about because I've been very clear. I really enjoy WWE Unreal, and we're going to be putting out our videos daily of each episode, so you guys can see those as they come out. I think the last one is set to go up Monday or Tuesday, but each day you'll get one. And I didn't, my big takeaway was I was like, man, this is kind of just like as I like it, but it doesn't feel like what I kind of want it to be, right? I actually want the behind the scenes stuff. And after reading this, I kind of changed my mind. Not that I don't want that, I still want that, but I understand what Paul Heyman is saying 100%. If you're in a, this creative space and you're, let's take a YouTube channel, right? If I'm coming up with ideas for videos or I'm coming up for story topics and I'm brainstorming what I want to do, and there's a camera in my face, well, now I'm going to be sitting there going, okay, well, even though I'm brainstorming now, I don't want to look like an idiot. So now there's like a level of like, I'm allowed to look like an idiot as much as I want when I'm just preparing for things. So in Paul Heyman's case, I don't think he's worried about being an idiot, but he's talking about in general, all the creative process for the people behind the scenes when they're pitching ideas to Triple H that are going to be potentially on WWE TV. Well, now you go from this thing where it's like, well, I'm just going to kind of spitball any random crap I want in terms of like ideas, and we could see if that's actually a good one. Versus if you're on camera, it's like, well, I'm not going to spitball something stupid because now I'm getting blamed for it. Who remembers if you're an NFL fan, Hard Knocks, right, with the Giants. And last year, even though, and we have a sports channel you could check out where we talked about this, but even though I felt like it was completely blown out of proportion, right? The whole Giants Saquon Barkley thing, like I think Saquon going to the Eagles, that was the best place for him, right? He wasn't going to be as good as he was in the Eagles on the Giants. But that one little moment behind the scenes became a representative for the whole season, right? It was the biggest talking point for the whole season. And it's similar with this, right? One thing that's kind of chopped up, right? There's one thing, one narrative that comes out of the show. It might stifle creativity. And I think it is entirely the case, right? I just think it is entirely the case that that could happen. It could stifle creativity. It almost forces you to be when you should be kind of feeling like, okay, I'm going to free ball and I'm going to really just, be as creative as possible. It stifles it completely. So I agree 100% with that. It's there. The train is leaving the station. You could go with the train and into the future of this industry, or you can stay behind like these old timers and go, back in my day, this is how we did it. It ain't your day anymore, and it ain't your day because you refuse to go into the future with an industry that is moving at a rapid pace. So, look, I think I have a little bit of a different stance in terms of I have a lot of respect for the old timers in the way that they do it, right? I have a lot of respect for them. But I think the problem is it's less about what people want and it's more about just technology, right? Like, I don't think there was this massive group of people that are like, you know what, we need WWE Unreal. That's just what we need, right? There's no change about it, right? We need WWE Unreal. But WWE is like, well, we kind of already have like the whole creative process with how the internet works and all the rumors that go around and what you could see. Like, it's we're at a point now where it's like you can't physically keep up the facade you could have, 3 or 4 decades ago, right? You can't keep everything a secret as you could have way back in the day. So you have to adjust to that because it's just impossible, right? There's going to be leaks, there's going to be all of this stuff, and it's going to get out to a mass audience because it's, in the 80s, you could keep this stuff under wraps, right? You were able to. You can't do that anymore. So WWE is trying to embrace the technology and use it in a way that is powerful. I mean, look at how they use YouTube and social media. I really think WWE uses social media, they use YouTube better than any of the other, like, I mean, professional sports leagues, right? They use it better than the MLB, the NBA, the NFL. They embrace it. And it's not that any of those places use it terribly, but nobody uses it like the WWE. They are always kind of on the cutting edge of this stuff. And watching WWE Unreal, I understand what they're thinking with it. I think a lot of fans, I don't think it's going to have some of the reaction that the haters think it's going to have, which is, I don't think people are going to look at it and go, I heard some people talking about like, it's like a magician, right? And once you learn the trick, it's not as cool, right? That kind of deal. I don't think that's actually the case with this. And that's because it honestly, after watching WWE in real, and some of it I knew, you honestly gain more respect for the people because now it's like, oh my God. Like, you think about what, like, there's a person back there who has a headset on that they have this whole match planned out that the wrestlers have to go through. They're trying to make sure it's in a certain time while still delivering for the audience, while doing all these crazy flips and moves and, and risking injury and all of that stuff. And they're doing it at least 2 times a week max. Actually, counting NXT, 3 times a week. Think about that. Like, that's not something that I look at and I go, oh, it's not really that impressive. No, it's just as impressive, maybe more, right? And you're seeing how it all works. Or how about the referee? I mean, you would think the referee's job out there would be, wow, okay, you have a tough job, right? You sit there, you watch them, and you count to three. Like, you don't have any problem, right? That's easy. The referee, they have a headset in. They're keeping, they're keeping the wrestlers informed. They're checking for injuries. They're, hey, we got to cut this. We got to cut. I mean, the refs are doing so much to keep it moving. It actually, I think, lifts the product up and it makes you like it even more. But I get what Paul Heyman is saying, which is, he just doesn't look. It's just not how he does it. We'll see if he wasn't in season one really at all in terms of talking to the camera. We'll see if he's involved in any way in season two if they do one. So thank you all for watching.